Rich's essay, When We Dead Awaken, Writing as Revision, is a significant feminist literary critique that examines the role of women in literature, the patriarchal nature of language, and the need for a transformative revision of both language and women's roles. In this essay, Rich argues that women's voices and experiences have been historically marginalized and silenced within patriarchal literary traditions. She emphasizes that language itself has been constructed by a male-dominated society, limiting women's ability to express themselves authentically. Rich suggests that women need to engage in a process of revision, which means not just a simple revision of texts, but a fundamental rethinking and reimagining of language and narrative structures. The title of the essay, When We Dead Awaken, references a play by Henrik Ibsen. Rich uses this title to underline the need for women to awaken from their historical and cultural silence, to re-examine their roles and identities, and to reclaim their own narratives. She argues that revision involves seeing and acknowledging the oppression women have faced and reimagining new ways of self-expression and empowerment. Rich's essay is a call for feminist writers to challenge traditional literary norms, to critically evaluate the ways women are depicted in literature, and to create new narratives that reflect women's lived experiences more accurately. The essay also encourages women to engage with their own personal histories, experiences, and emotions, using writing as a tool for transformation and empowerment. In summary, When We Dead Awaken, Writing as Revision, by Adrienne Rich is an influential feminist essay that urges women to critically assess and reshape language, literature, and their own identities in order to break free from patriarchal constraints and contribute to a more inclusive and authentic literary tradition. Adrienne Rich's essay is a thought-provoking exploration of the ways in which women have been historically excluded and marginalized within the realm of literature. Rich argues that women have been denied the ability to fully express themselves and their experiences due to the patriarchal structure of language and storytelling. She suggests that this exclusion is not only a matter of limited representation, but also deeply affects women's sense of self and agency. Rich introduces the concept of revision, which she defines as a transformative process that goes beyond mere textual revision. Revision involves looking back, not just at the text, but at the world and one's own experiences, and seeing them in a new light. It is a conscious act of reimagining and reinterpretation that challenges traditional norms and allows for a more authentic representation of women's lives. The title of the essay, When We Dead Awaken, draws from Ibsen's play of the same name, where the characters awaken from their metaphorical deadness to the realities of their lives. Rich employs this metaphor to describe the awakening that women writers must undergo, a process of recognizing their historical silencing and reclaiming their voices through writing. Rich emphasizes the importance of women writers connecting with their personal histories, emotions, and experiences. She believes that these elements are often dismissed in traditional literature but are crucial for an honest and meaningful revisioning of women's lives. Through revision, women can transcend the limitations of patriarchal language and construct narratives that reflect their own identities and truths. The essay also touches on the idea of motherhood as a central theme in women's lives. Rich critiques the traditional view of motherhood as an idealized and limiting role, arguing that women's identities are multifaceted and cannot be confined to a singular role. She urges women writers to challenge and expand the portrayal of motherhood in literature. In conclusion, When We Dead Awaken, Writing as Revision, is a powerful essay that encourages women writers to critically reassess literature, language, and their own identities. Rich's call for revisioning is a call for empowerment, an assertion that women's voices and experiences are vital, and a reminder that rewriting the narrative is a means of liberation from patriarchal constraints. Example: revisioning a traditional fairy tale. Let's consider the well-known fairy tale, Cinderella, and how it might be revisioned according to Rich's ideas. In the traditional version of Cinderella, the protagonist is a young woman who is mistreated by her stepmother and stepsisters, only to be rescued by a handsome prince. The story revolves around her passivity and eventual transformation through marriage to the prince. In a revisioned version of the story, a writer might apply the principles Rich discusses. Reimagine the perspective. The revisioned version could shift the narrative perspective to focus on Cinderella's inner thoughts, emotions, and desires. This would provide insight into her experiences beyond her role as a passive victim. Explore complexity. The revisioned version could delve into the stepmother and stepsister's motivations and backgrounds, exploring why they behave the way they do. This adds depth to the characters and challenges one-dimensional portrayals. Challenge stereotypes. The revisioned version could question the traditional gender roles depicted in the story. Cinderella might actively seek solutions to her problems rather than waiting for rescue, and the prince's character could be developed beyond his role as a savior. Highlight relationships. The revisioned version could emphasize the relationships Cinderella forms with other characters, such as her interactions with other women in her life or friendships she develops, showcasing the importance of connections beyond romantic relationships. Engage with identity. The revisioned version could explore Cinderella's identity beyond her relationship to the prince. She might have aspirations, talents, and personal growth that go beyond the confines of her societal role. By revisioning Cinderella through these lenses, the story would be transformed into a narrative that offers a more nuanced portrayal of characters, challenges traditional gender roles, and provides a deeper understanding of the protagonist's inner world and agency. This process aligns with Rich's call for women writers to re-examine and reinterpret traditional narratives in ways that authentically represent their experiences and challenge patriarchal constraints. Please note that this is just an illustrative example, and the actual revisioning process could take many different forms depending on the writer's intentions and creative choices. Example: revisioning Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet is a classic tragedy by William Shakespeare that revolves around the love story of two young lovers from feuding families. Let's consider how the principles of revisioning might be applied to this well-known tale. Reimagine perspective and voice. In a revisioned version, the story could be told from the perspective of Juliet, giving her a voice to express her thoughts, feelings, and desires. This shift in perspective would offer insight into her agency and challenges, beyond the narrative dominated by Romeo's actions. Challenge binary thinking. Our visioned version could challenge the binary nature of the Montague-Capulet feud. It could explore the complex reasons behind the family conflict, potentially revealing shared histories or underlying societal issues that contribute to their animosity. Subvert gender roles. In the revisioned narrative, Juliet might actively resist societal expectations and engage in decisions that shape her own fate. Romeo could also be portrayed with emotional depth beyond his love for Juliet, breaking away from traditional notions of masculine bravado. Develop secondary characters. Revisioning could involve delving into the lives and motivations of secondary characters, such as Friar Lawrence and the nurse. These characters' backgrounds and motivations could be explored to provide a richer context for their actions. Focus on relationships beyond romance. The revisioned version could highlight relationships beyond the romantic one, such as Juliet's relationships with her female friends, her relationship with her family, or her connection to her nurse. This approach would emphasize the complexity of her identity and experiences. Explore themes of identity and autonomy. Revisioning might delve into themes of identity, autonomy, and agency. Juliet's journey could involve not just romantic love, but also her self-discovery, growth, and decisions that shape her life path. By revisioning Romeo and Juliet, in this way, the story could become a platform for exploring deeper societal issues, questioning gender roles, and offering a more nuanced portrayal of characters' motivations and relationships. This aligns with Rich's call for writers to challenge and transform narratives to better represent the complexities of women's lives and experiences. Remember, revisioning is a creative process, and the possibilities are endless. The goal is to engage with existing narratives in ways that amplify marginalized voices, challenge stereotypes, and create narratives that are more inclusive and authentic. Revisioned Romeo and Juliet, Juliet's liberation. In this revisioned version of Romeo and Juliet, the focus is shifted to Juliet's perspective and agency. The narrative challenges traditional gender roles, reimagines relationships, and explores themes of empowerment and autonomy. Narrative perspective. The story is narrated primarily from Juliet's perspective, allowing readers to experience her thoughts, emotions, and challenges. This approach gives Juliet a stronger voice and agency in shaping her own destiny. Challenging gender roles. Juliet's character is re-envisioned as a young woman who is assertive, intellectually curious, and eager to shape her future. She questions societal expectations and desires a life beyond the confines of her family's feud. Familial complexities. The feud between the Montagues and Capulets is explored in depth, revealing hidden histories and societal tensions that contribute to the conflict. Juliet actively seeks understanding and resolution, challenging the binary thinking that fuels the feud. Friendships and support networks. Juliet's relationships with her female friends, such as her confidante Rosaline, are highlighted. These relationships offer emotional support and give Juliet a broader perspective on her options. Collaboration with Romeo. Romeo reimagined as a partner who respects Juliet's agency and collaborates with her to navigate their challenges. They work together to address the family feud and strive for mutual growth. Juliet's growth and autonomy. Throughout the story, Juliet's personal growth takes center stage. She engages in intellectual pursuits, challenges societal norms, and actively participates in decision-making that affects her life. Alternative ending. The revisioned version might present an alternative resolution where Juliet's life isn't tragically cut short. She becomes a force for change in Verona, working towards peace and societal transformation. Through this revisioned narrative, Juliet's liberation, the story becomes a platform for exploring themes of empowerment, autonomy, and societal change. By giving Juliet agency in a more complex role, the narrative challenges the traditional portrayal of women as passive victims of fate and emphasizes the potential for personal growth and transformation. This example illustrates how revisioning can lead to a narrative that provides a more nuanced and inclusive perspective, aligning with Adrienne Rich's call for women writers to re-envision literature in ways that reflect their experiences and challenge societal norms. Revisioned, Frankenstein, Reclaiming the Creature. In this revisioned version of Frankenstein, the narrative shifts its focus to explore the perspectives of female characters, challenge gender roles, and delve into the consequences of scientific and patriarchal ambitions. Narrative expansion. The story is expanded to include more viewpoints, giving voice to female characters such as Elizabeth and Justine. Their experiences and emotions are explored in greater depth, providing a more comprehensive understanding of the story's impact. Scientific ambitions and ethics. The narrative delves into the ethical dilemmas of Victor Frankenstein's experiments. The potential dangers of unchecked scientific pursuits are highlighted, and female characters actively engage in discussions about the ethics of creation. Female relationships. The friendships and connections between female characters are emphasized. Elizabeth, Justine, and even the creature are presented as forming bonds of understanding, empathy, and support. Female empowerment. Elizabeth's character is revisioned as a woman who questions her societal role and aspires to contribute to scientific knowledge. She actively participates in discussions about the implications of Victor's actions. Subversion of gender norms. The revisioned version challenges traditional gender roles by portraying Elizabeth and Justine as intellectually capable, curious, and engaged in scientific discourse. The story demonstrates that women are not confined to passive roles. The creature's perspective. The narrative provides a deeper exploration of the creature's emotions, struggles, and desire for acceptance. The creature is not only a tragic figure but also a symbol of societal rejection and the consequences of unchecked patriarchy. Collaborative solutions. The female characters and the creature work collaboratively to address the chaos that unfolds due to Victor's actions. Their perspectives lead to alternative solutions that emphasize empathy, communication, and mutual understanding. Through the revisioned narrative, Reclaiming the Creature, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein becomes a platform for examining the intersections of gender, science, and societal power dynamics. By centering the perspectives of female characters and redefining their roles within the story, the narrative challenges the conventional narrative structure and provides a feminist reinterpretation of the classic tale. This example illustrates how revisioning can not only alter the portrayal of characters but also reshape the core themes and messages of a literary work, aligning with the feminist principles. Discussed by Adrienne Rich. Identity and self-discovery. Many feminist works delve into the exploration of women's identities beyond societal expectations. Characters often go through journeys of self-discovery, questioning prescribed roles and finding their authentic selves. Agency and empowerment. A central theme in feminist literature is the empowerment of women, granting them agency to make choices, voice their opinions, and take control of their lives. This empowerment often involves challenging societal norms and expectations. Sisterhood and relationships. Feminist works often highlight the importance of female friendships, alliances, and supportive relationships. These relationships provide a space for women to connect, share experiences, and collectively challenge oppression. Patriarchy and power dynamics. Patriarchy and the unequal distribution of power between genders are frequently explored in feminist literature. This theme addresses how societal structures and norms perpetuate gender inequality and the struggles women face to break free from these constraints. Body and sexuality. Works in feminist literature often discuss women's relationships with their bodies, addressing issues such as body image, beauty standards, and the reclaiming of their own narratives of sexuality. Revisioning history and myths. Feminist literature may reimagine historical events, myths, and stories from a female perspective, challenging conventional narratives and inserting women's voices into previously male-dominated narratives. Education and intellectual growth. Many feminist texts emphasize the importance of education and intellectual growth for women. Characters often seek knowledge and engage in intellectual pursuits to challenge oppressive norms. Social justice and activism. Feminist literature frequently intersects with themes of social justice and activism. Characters may engage in various forms of activism to challenge injustices and work towards equality. Motherhood and family. Motherhood is often explored in feminist literature, with discussions on the complexities of mother-daughter relationships, societal expectations of motherhood, and the challenges of balancing personal desires with familial roles. Reimagining narratives. The act of revisioning itself is a recurring theme. This involves challenging and reimagining traditional narratives, giving voice to marginalized experiences, and seeking new perspectives on existing stories. These themes demonstrate how feminist literature aims to reshape narratives, amplify marginalized voices, and challenge societal norms. The concepts of revisioning and empowering women's experiences are at the heart of these themes, fostering a deeper understanding of the complexities of women's lives and identities. Theme: Patriarchy and power dynamics. Explanation. Patriarchy refers to a social system in which men hold primary power and dominance, often at the expense of women's rights and voices. Feminist literature frequently explores how patriarchal structures shape and constrain women's lives, and it highlights the ways women navigate these power dynamics to challenge and subvert traditional norms. Key aspects. Gender inequality. Feminist literature critically examines the ways in which patriarchal societies enforce gender roles, limiting women's opportunities and relegating them to specific roles such as homemakers or caretakers. Unequal representation. Patriarchy can manifest in literature through unequal representation of women's experiences. Female characters might be sidelined, objectified, or reduced to stereotypes in favor of male perspectives. Power struggles. Many feminist works depict the power struggles that women face when trying to gain agency in a patriarchal world. These struggles can be internal, fighting self-doubt, or external, challenging institutions or individuals. Intersectionality. The theme of patriarchy intersects with other forms of oppression, such as racism, classism, and ableism. Feminist literature often explores how these intersecting systems compound women's marginalization. Resistance and subversion. Women characters in feminist literature often resist and subvert patriarchal norms. This might involve rebelling against traditional roles, demanding rights, or engaging in acts of defiance. Breaking the silence. Feminist literature highlights how patriarchal structures perpetuate silence around issues like sexual assault, harassment, and domestic violence. Female characters breaking their silence is a powerful narrative element. Examples. The Handmaid's Tale, by Margaret Atwood. This dystopian novel portrays a theocratic society where women are systematically oppressed and treated as property. The story explores the extreme consequences of a patriarchal regime. The Yellow Wallpaper, by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, a short story that reveals the mental and emotional decline of a woman trapped by the patriarchal expectations of her husband and society. It explores the effects of women's social confinement. The Color Purple, by Alice Walker. This novel follows the journey of Celie, an African-American woman who breaks free from the oppressive men in her life and finds empowerment and sisterhood within a network of strong women. The Awakening, by Kate Chopin. The novel delves into a woman's journey towards self-discovery and liberation from societal constraints. It examines the consequences of resisting traditional gender roles. Impact. The exploration of patriarchy and power dynamics in feminist literature serves to raise awareness about the systemic inequalities women face. By depicting the complexities of women's experiences, these works encourage readers to question and challenge the norms that perpetuate such inequalities. This theme ultimately aims to dismantle patriarchal structures and create a more equitable society where women can fully realize their potential. Analysis of the theme: Patriarchy and power dynamics in feminist literature. 1. Structural analysis. Patriarchy is often depicted as a deeply ingrained societal structure that affects every aspect of characters' lives. Through their stories, feminist literature reveals how patriarchal norms shape family dynamics, social interactions, economic opportunities, and political representation. This structural analysis highlights the systemic nature of gender inequality. 2. Character development. Female characters in feminist literature often serve as lenses through which readers can witness the effects of patriarchal power dynamics. These characters undergo journeys of self-discovery, resistance, and empowerment as they navigate societal expectations and limitations. The growth and transformation of these characters symbolize the broader struggle for gender equality. 3. Symbolism and allegory. Patriarchy can be allegorically represented through symbols and metaphors. These symbols serve to illuminate the ways in which patriarchal norms constrain women's lives. For example, the confinement of a female character to a physical space may represent her limited agency in a male-dominated world. 4. Intersectionality. An important aspect of the theme is its intersectionality with other forms of oppression. Feminist literature often portrays how the effects of patriarchy differ based on factors such as race, class, and sexuality. Intersectionality underscores that women's experiences are not uniform and acknowledges the compounded impact of multiple systems of oppression. 5. Subversion and agency. A common narrative arc in feminist literature involves female characters challenging the power dynamics of patriarchy. These characters exercise agency by questioning prescribed roles, demanding equality, and taking actions to shape their own destinies. Such acts of subversion inspire readers to question their own roles within patriarchal structures. 6. Consequences and empowerment. The consequences of patriarchy are explored through themes of mental health, violence, and silenced voices. However, feminist literature also emphasizes empowerment. The narratives show that through solidarity, education, and resilience, women can transcend the limitations imposed by patriarchal norms. 7. Critical reflection. By shedding light on patriarchal power dynamics, feminist literature prompts readers to critically reflect on their own society. It encourages readers to recognize and challenge the ways in which power is distributed unequally between genders and to envision alternative, more equitable ways of organizing society. 8. Social commentary. Works that explore this theme often serve as a commentary on contemporary gender issues. They can ignite discussions about real-world gender disparities, encouraging readers to take part in broader conversations about gender equality and social change. Impact and legacy. The theme of patriarchy and power dynamics is central to feminist literature's mission of challenging and transforming societal norms. By analyzing and confronting these power dynamics, these works inspire readers to engage with issues of gender, leading to increased awareness, empathy, and advocacy for change. In conclusion, the theme of patriarchy and power dynamics in feminist literature illuminates the complexities of gender inequality, providing insights into the struggles, agency, and empowerment of women within a male-dominated world. Through diverse narratives, feminist literature aims to reshape cultural perceptions and contribute to the ongoing fight for gender equality.